All right, good people, we're going to go ahead and get this jumping, as they say. All right, so thank you for coming to this Make Build Coffee Great Again rally. We're going to start off by kneeling. So anyway, I'm Salim. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Oh, cool. There are people outside, but they're just trying to get chairs. Appreciate that. Okay, great. So I'm going to start off with a song, and then I'll tell you what we're doing together for the next little chunk of change. This is a song I wrote a long time ago. All the songs I'm going to do tonight are ones that I've written a while ago that are not on the audio companion that goes with the book. Does anybody have rhythm in here tonight? Anybody clap on beat? At least a third of the people? Quarter? Half? Like none? Alright, anyway, so we'll do this. This song is called Take Off. I wrote it with a guy who I have never seen since we exchanged CDs in a dairy barn. He gave me a CD of instrumentals. I wrote to it a year later, and I've actually never been able to find it. I'd say something cheesy like, if you're watching, holler at me, but I don't really know the odds of that. So anyway, it's called Take Off. Yeah, roughly. If you take a step into the mind, never know what Sherlock will find. Clues they too sometimes combine and tend to grow like tomato vines. That's why I sometimes cry and try to car wash both my eyes. Open them up like a diner sign. 24/7's always fresh. 7 days a week I deliver my best. The EKG said my heart is stressed. Am I too young to have this in my chest? I don't think so, but I'll slow down my flow like black molasses goes. What's a song without a dream? Hip-hop without the letter P is just hi-ho. Wait by yo, boy, let's rock it, set to go. Got beat so strong and beat so true. Birds and squirrels, they feel it too. I put out my thumb and they pick me up. Now I got a spacesuit and it's buttoned up. Tight up to the neck, but loose as a goose in winter wet. We use these songs as inspiration and transform our situation. Over the rainbow might be gold, but that's not here, so I do not know. It might be silver, it might be bronze. I hope it's bullfrogs in a pond. Lily pads below, and roots so deep you can feel them grow. And every so often I hope there'll be a lotus flower floating there perfectly. Like an old man, like a baby, like a woman, like a new seed. Like fall leaves, like a cool breeze. Like summer, like ice cream. Like winter when snow is falling. Like my love when she is calling to me. Like an old man, like a baby, like a woman, like a new seed. Like fall leaves, like a cool breeze. Like summer, like ice cream. Like winter when snow is falling. Like my love when she is calling. Alright, thank you. Okay, so welcome. We call this evening Skin Folk. I did some weird punctuation, so it's S/K-I-N. You're like, well, how many, it's just, you gotta do punctuation stuff. So it's sin, it's skin, it's kin, it's a little bit of that, all right? So what we're gonna do together tonight, it's gonna be some essays, some recipes, some raps, some poetry, some memoir, a little bit of that, all right? So just wanna see who is with us, where we're at, where we're represented. So who's Hyde Park? Woo! All right. Own it, y'all. Come on. Who's totally freaked out about the Obama Center? I don't know what's gonna happen. Okay. Who trekked up from the Northwest?
Yeah.
All right. We got a couple. I appreciate that. Anyone from Northeast? Ooh, okay, that's no problem. The traffic. All right. Anyone came from South Side, further south? All right, excellent. Thank you. Any west? Anyone west? Anyone west side? Okay, I'm working on that. Okay, all right. Had a couple people who did not. Okay, great. Nevertheless, all right. Anybody from out of state? Cool. All right. You never know. All right, great. So we are in Build Coffee, which is an amazing local spot of community and building and food, beverages, etc. I was going to let B. Molsky briefly let us know what this space is, unless Hannah wants to do it. I see you have beverages. Nope. All right. I'm busy. I'm working. She's working too now. Would you like to say a couple words about what we are, where we are?
Yeah, welcome everyone. This is Build Coffee. We're in the experimental station right now. We're a coffee shop and a bookstore, and we have events regularly. And we really love doing stuff like this. So thanks for coming.
Excellent. Thank you. And then I am joined by 3 colleagues from an amazing nonprofit. If I could have, it depends on who wants to. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
All right.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ray.
Good deal.
Thank you.
Well, I'm Ray Thompson. I'm from a great organization called ConTextos, and we teach memoir writing throughout Chicago communities. I'll give you the standard ConTextos piece, just so I can be efficient here. Angela, can you hear me? You can't? Can you turn it up a bit?
Oh, turn me
Yeah.
up.
If Angela
My
says she
headphones
can't
up.
hear me, I have to turn it up.
Okay, keep talking, Ray.
Good deal, good deal. So I'll read this quickly. Angela's in the back. I'm Ray Thompson. Lisa Kenner is here with me. She works with me, my colleague. Angela Randolph is here as well.
I was like a reindeer, but that's okay.
Good deal. Actually, I was going to say Rudolph too, but I chose not to. So.
That's okay.
Okay, good deal.
See you, right?
Okay. So I'll read the standard. The Soy Autor writing process was developed in collaboration with young people at risk of victims of or perpetrators of violence in El Salvador. In 2017, this innovative program expanded into Chicago to create tangible, high-quality opportunities that nourish the minds, expand the voices, and share the personal truths of young people who have long been underserved and underestimated. Through the process of drafting, revising, illustrating, and publishing memoirs, the circle members develop reflection, critical thinking, camaraderie, conflict resolution, and positive self-projection. This Roseland Author Circle has been based at the Youth Peace Center in Roseland as a part of the Chicago CRED program. I think some of you have heard of Chicago CRED. A couple of good people are back in town to make that thing happen. But I'm feeling kind of funny because our authors are not here. We invited 3 to come share their work with you. So it basically puts me on the spot to read their works throughout the program. But I'm going to do my best to live in their spirit and share this work that is so amazing and the things they have been able to produce over a 5-month period. And if you want more information about ConTextos, I think trustee Angela is in the corner with some information about ConTextos. And you can talk with Lisa or me at the end of the event, and we'll be happy to share whatever we can. Thank you for this opportunity, Celine.
Thank you. Thank you. And you can stay kind of on deck because we're going to read those in a second. All right, so to kind of build off that, one of the opportunities for folks who would like to purchase the poetry chapbook that we're here to celebrate, there's a roundup option if you're interested in rounding your purchase up to $20. I don't mean you have to round, you know what I'm trying to say. Pay $20 is the roundup. And it will offset the cost of sending a copy of my chapbook to one of the author circles in ConTextos. So there's a Roseland, a North Lawndale, and then one in Cook County. So any of those. So just keep that in mind if your hands are in your pockets by your wallets at any point. All right. So what is this? This I've already said it's an evening of building, an evening of music, song, poetry, et cetera. And why now? Why here? I wanted to not do the standard, I wrote some poetry and we're going to have some wine and sort of like have music in the background and just be like, oh yeah, MFA programs, you know, that sort of thing. Because I didn't do one, I never will, too much grad school. And I really thought, is there a way to bring together people from all around the city who may not necessarily come to a poetry, type of event? Is there a way to kind of redefine what a poetry type of event is? Is there a way to leverage a unique community space? And is there a way to bring together nonprofit, those moments when your personal and your professional can line up a little? I think we all live for those moments. So I'm really happy that it looks like that's what this evening is sort of shaping up to be. The evening is divided into 3 sections. We have skin, we have kin, and we have folk. So to go ahead and start off the skin evening, the skin section of the evening, Gary, the author, Gary has a piece, and Ray will share that piece tonight. Round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. As I'm reading, let's send some good vibes out to Gary Clay, who worked for 5 months in putting this piece together. And I'm going to read an excerpt from his memoir. And he titles it Learn and Lead. Self-illustrated, great work. I think there's some copies to the side here. I've always been a good, motivated, self-sufficient worker. Even when I was in the streets is where I learned these skills. My guys on the block always look to me to make sure we all remain safe. There are many things I've done and experienced that I'm not proud of, but I learned many lessons. On a late summer night, my guys left the block with me in possession of some contraband. No one wanted to ride in the car with those objects, so they left them with me. My guys are younger than I am, so I always teach them to think before they act. After a few hours, it was time for me to go home. I had to take the contraband with me to make sure everyone was safe. My guys depended on me. The morning came and everyone knew who to call. Because I'm always focused, my guys knew I would be available. I am always the first call. For anyone who is currently living the street life and wants to make a change, I would highly recommend you to take the steps to make that change. I learned those changes can be as simple as changing your environment or more difficult changes like ending friendships and connections with family members. I also learned that remaining positive and avoiding negative situations is a must. It may take years, but as long as you accomplish the goal of changing it, doesn't matter how long it takes. Being in the streets causes a lot of stress, and you will take a lot of losses. Living the street life will take a toll on you if you let it. You have to worry about running or hiding from the police, getting shot, or being shot at. Being shot is very tragic and could kill you. No one wants to be in prison for life or 6 feet under. I don't. Being a killer or a shooter can come back and haunt you in your dreams and give you cold sweats, waking you out your sleep at all times of the night. You can also take losses such as people stealing weed, crack, money, or anything you own from being in the streets. I am living proof of someone who can change. I was in the streets 24/7, but even though I'm only 22, I came to the conclusion that it's time to cut the streets off and focus on bettering my mind, self, and my future. Losing a lot of friends and family to the streets made me come to this point. I got tired of going to funerals and catching cases that sent me to jail. It's not fun at all. Jail is for no one, not even your enemies. Since I've decided to make necessary changes in my life, I know I can accomplish all of my goals. At some point in time, we have to change our life and eliminate the bad to bring in more success. I am now improving my life and renewing my mind. I don't have time to waste, and I will not let anyone, myself, or anyone else stop my future from being as great as I feel it will be. And this is his quick bio. I am from the Inglewood area, from broken homes and lost dreams. I am from the heart of Inglewood, full of violence, sadness, and childhood memories. I am from a place where your attitude can resemble a rose or a daisy, but if not being taken care of, your life can go bad just like flowers. I'm from family barbecues and enjoying time with family, from Massey's and Taylor's. I'm from applying street knowledge to help you in your career or job and enjoying life at very dull times. From you're a very quiet person and crazy person. I'm from the streets where we were alone at a young age, so we had to learn very fast to survive. I'm from 69th and Normal, the south side of Chicago, chicken and noodles, from the family that learns when they're young to be very independent men and women. Gary Clay. Gary Clay.
Thank you. All right, again. All right. So I see a couple more folks who come in. So let's try to let's bring it in. I don't need like this 7-foot bubble in front of me. I bathe. You know what I mean? Deodorant. You know. So you can really come in and let's let people be comfortable. All right. Excellent. I'm going to share a piece from the poetry chat book called Youth Electric. Yeah. Please. All right. They had no idea what we were capable of. With dollar store matches and a bloody nose, we could strike on any surface, a mailbox ignited. Window envelopes melt, and junk mail shrivels like peace cranes. Amidst pungent lime green flickers, our beanstalk bodies twist and rock, awkward chalk outlines, too stiff to dance. Lost boys wandering between railroad tracks and cul-de-sacs, a twisted ankle, sunburn on a new tattoo, and a torn pocket sliding under the fence. Worthy collateral to make it back to the spot. A convergence of abandoned aqueducts, drain pipes for driftwood, empty spray cans scattered like seashells. In our oasis, roaches crunch beneath sneakers, and mice stumble across cardboard, woozy from spilt malt liquor. We pile up mattresses and spend the afternoon seeing who can cannonball off the highest stack of milk crates. As evening nears, we check our PVC pipe palm tree to see if the big raven found the french fries we stuffed inside. Then, with bruised shoulders and proud chest, the four of us head back towards land. Pausing at shuttered storefronts to taunt the mannequins, stripped of their overcoats and long since forgotten. Our invincible laughter echoes through the shortcut alleys we tagged while ditching 7th period last year. Faking like we lost our day passes, we tried to jump the crosstown bus, but this driver already knew our faces. We suck it up and roll out on foot. With or without street lamps, this is Youth Electric, neon veins from vapor cigarettes. Slouching home, the September sun rises. A decade away, whippoorwills line the rotting branches of a dogwood. Their cries echo off the hillside that would eventually claim us all. Carlos on his yellow Honda, Kendrick in a setup, me in line getting quarters at the laundromat, Jamie in front of his girl. From tricycles to the uptown train, Brother Death remained patient. All those years like Spanish moss, barely a shadow in our paths. We had no idea what he was capable of. When we fell, he removed our hats, folded our bandanas, wiped the dirt from our shoes, sat sentinel in the red clover littered at our feet. Autumn and winter passed this way, a ring of skeletons shining beneath a cloudless sky, bony hands gently folded across empty chests. In time, old willow leaves and last year's snowpack became rich soil, and spring promised new life. We woke to the hum of blind bees, feeling for pollen in the hollow holes where our eyes once searched, hugging the spirals of our sun-bleached ribs. The energy sparked our ghost heartbeats and gave us reason to hope for summer, that fireflies could fill the space between our teeth, illuminate our mouths, and give us voice. But seasons and tragedies fade, and eventually the world forgot our names. The headlines once sparked by our faces now faded into obscurity, and afterlife anonymous. No motive, no witnesses, no expectations, no hope. Only then did Brother Death wake us up and show us how to dance, with no fear of the fall. All right, so we're gonna have our first group build of the night. All right, so if you have a chip, if you have a plastic chip, could you just raise it in the air? If you have a chip, all right. Darnisha forgot hers, that's okay. We'll give another one. All right, we got chips. Anyone else got chips? Chips. Just wanted to keep saying that. Okay, great. All right, so what we're gonna do is, it's this, has anybody heard of Tinder before? Swipe left. I don't know. Happily married with twins. So happily. So Tinder is, the app is spelled Tinder. We're going to do Tinder with an E, all right? So this is a different kind of Tinder. It's very much a different kind of Tinder tonight. I know we have a child in the audience, okay? That's how they happen. All right, Tender, all right? So what you're going to do is if you have a chip, you are going to find 1 to 2 people in your immediate vicinity who do not have a chip, okay? And what we're going to do, the person with the chip is going to be given a question, and the 1 to 2 people next to them are going to be the swipe lefts or the swipe rights, all right? Again, this is Tender. These are tender questions, okay? Not tender questions, okay? I'm going to give you like 15 seconds. If you have a chip, find 2 people without a chip. Go. All right, excellent. Looks like we got grouped up. Okay, perfect. All right, so for the folks who are a little confused at being a Saturday evening, I'm gonna just help out. All right, so the four of y'all, bam, right there. Okay, I just made that happen. All right, the three in the back. Yep, bam, bam, bam. Cool, excellent. The four, bam, love it. Right there? Okay, perfect. All right, first question, Brittany.
Oh, no, what?
Okay, you had your hands up like a field goal. Okay, great. You're reclaiming your space? Okay, I love it. All right, first question of the evening. Okay, you're going to have 10 seconds because then you swipe left and right quickly, okay? I think. All right, so the first question is a time that somebody told you you could not do something that you believed in. Go. Swipe to the other person. Next question. Hey, it moves quick, you know? That's this generation. All right. Next question is. Thank you to the groups who are listening. If you hear me once, clap the hands. Okay, we're not doing this. It's not school, all right? So, the second question is a relative that if you could speak with for one final conversation, who would it be? You don't even have to say why. Just who would that relative be? Go. Swipe. Next question, so you're getting the hang of it. It moves quick. Next question is a quality that you see in a child that you want to reclaim for yourself. Go. A quality you see in a child that you want to reclaim for yourself. Swipe. All right, final question. No, it's cool. You're a community organizer, and I would expect nothing less. All right? Okay, final question. Rhyming poems or non-rhyming poems? Go. All right, thank you, everybody. All right, round of applause for yourselves. Okay. All right, we're going to gonna build a couple more times so that you got the feeling of it, okay? This is what tonight is. Alright? I'm gonna do a little song called Eclipses, Ellipses. I face the direction of the setting sun. Is that west? I forgot sometimes I'm vacant, like a lot of the one receptacle for godliness. So what's opposites? So what you provoking? Open like a cabin or a cave, I stream deep in, and what echoes? Reflection of the rage, portrait of the pain, picture of the love, feral not tame, accumulating like rain. They left already, feel harmony swoon like an oboe bassoon, swoon, new tune like sugar from my sweet cedar womb. Zoom through reality rooms like space station doom, flight soon, taking off. Drums and precedent stalk like a stalking of heart, so pros off a go. From where I'm sitting or standing, I sow and I know and I blow like wind through a horn. I storm through mornings and morn, more sure warnings. I warn the dawn, sun rising, manifold and magnifies and relies on my time. Eclipses, ellipses, and frenzied greeting. It swishes and mixes like a cow's tail wrapping the flies. Cause I fly like birds, a million questions, only one reply. I go to a place where no one else can find me. Put the name in the wind, and the scent can find your belly. I stand with my head, my hands and body naked, and that I'm a man. And the form of confrontation, of course, is easy. I want. Come on. I want. Come on. I want. Sleep in the sand, sleep silhouetted, seaside, sea sand, exactly consummated. See how we breathe, the light that eats on meaning. I swear, come back, and my voice is singing at you now. I want. Come on, shoulders. I want. More. I want. Feel good. Shake it off. I want. When I'm in your space, only the moon can find me. Try as it may, the sun will never shine me. And that's how I say that the earth is just a pebble, that the sirens stay, and the rain can ease your crying now. I want, it's next this time. I want. So in the real song, I had like this really nice freestyle, but I don't really have that in me right now. So anyway, this is me, h.u.e. The door is this way if you want to come in. Yeah? No? All right, anyway, let's go back in the chorus one more time because it's fun. I want. You know, the door's locked. For safety, I want. When I'm in your space, only the moon's so shiny. Seaside, sea sand, exactly consummated. See how we breathe. All right, so this moves us into the kin portion of our evening. We're going to have a reading by Emmanuel. But on behalf, Gary, you're reading on behalf of Emmanuel? Okay, great. Thank you.
Emmanuel Hill, day by day. The block was busting. Everyone was having fun. This is my family's block. Aunts, uncles, cousins, even my mother could be seen up and down the street. My cousin AJ was barbecuing. It seemed like everyone was there. People were laughing and joking. Kids were running around playing silly games. I stayed until 9:30 p.m., then walked to the red line. When I got to 95th Street, my cousin Marley called me and said somebody shot up our block. He said a male and female were laying on the ground and the male was not moving. When he described him, I had the feeling my big cousin AJ was shot. It turns out I was right. Then my big brother called me and said our mother was out there too. Our mother was shot in the butt. 5 other family members had been shot too. I was effed up hearing that my mother was shot. It hit me really hard. I felt like my heart was popping out of my chest. My niece was also traumatized. She had been out there too and was having nightmares when she tried to close her eyes. I had to come over to her house until she fell asleep. I was hurting hearing my mother crying when I went to visit her at home. So many things were happening, so much pain all at once. My family was on the news sharing how hurt they were and how our cousin AJ was a good person and didn't deserve to be killed. I was angry and wanted someone to pay for the pain my family was going through. Somebody had to pay for the way I was feeling. I wanted someone to feel my pain and sorrow. Somebody needed to hurt. I was thinking if I had been there, shots would be getting fired back. It hurt me to know I wasn't out there to protect my family. When I went to my cousin AJ's funeral, I could not believe he was laying in the casket. I felt helpless to see him laying there. I felt helpless seeing my family cry, watching his mother cry over her dead son. More pain and anger was building up inside of me. After AJ's funeral, his mother asked me not to do anything crazy. I knew AJ was in a better place, so I listened. I knew retaliating would only bring more pain to my family. Revenge has a way of going on and on forever. I figured it would be best to just go through this pain without balancing the scales with more violence. I'm still hurting over the situation, but every day gets a little better. The urge to seek revenge diminishes day by day. I try to focus on my family and my children. I stay focused on my future and fight to remain positive despite all of these negative experiences. But I am scared and trying to figure out what all of this pain and hurt means. I am not sure what it means yet, but I search for the answers so my children can avoid this pain that violence causes. Hopefully, one day, it would all make sense. Bio for Emmanuel. I am from the streets, from killing and clout. I am from old school music. Music blasting old stories and peaceful sounds. I am from backyard barbecues, where aunts and uncles playing spades, drinking cocktails. I'm from respect your elders and sharing memories. From my grandma and grandfather. I'm from ass whippings, and if you don't do your homework, no outside. For crying is for females and help people who need. I'm from all-day church services with Mr. and Mrs. Hill. Greens, cornbread, mac and cheese, ribs from the place where bullets got names. When my cousin AJ got killed, I wanted to hurt people. Emmanuel Hill.
All right, thank you. If I could welcome my creator in arms, Audrey Petty, to the stage, to the mic, to the space, please. And I just saw a couple more people came in. I'm not going to do the call out people, Ray, what's up, Myra. But there is space up front, so again, I would encourage you to continue to decrease my personal space and increase the communal space. Audrey moved, so your chair just got jacked. Wow, it's cold. I'm going to go ahead without further ado, Audrey.
Thank you. Good evening. Thanks so much for being here. I'm electrified and I'm humbled. Thank you so much, Celine, for the invitation. I want to share a little bit of something I wrote a long time ago, and I'll just get started. So this is an essay called Late Night Chitlins with Mama. Ours came frozen solid in a red plastic bucket, butchered and packaged by Armor, 10 pounds in all. Clean, they'd reduced to much less, not even filling my mother's cast iron pot. We usually ate them in the wintertime, Mama and I. Negotiation regarding their appearance began weeks in advance, usually around the dinner table. My mother would tell my father she was considering fixing chitlins for the holidays. My father would groan, twist his mouth, and protest in vain. Why you gotta be cooking them? My two sisters backed him up with exaggerated whimpers, calls for gas masks, threats to run away from home. I'll cook them next Saturday, Mama would say, suddenly matter of fact. My father would plan that next Saturday accordingly, out of the house for hours, in protest, then coming back with the Sunday papers, opening the living room windows wide before heading upstairs to read and watch football in his lazy boy behind a closed door. My mother would turn to me, smiling and winking. You'll help me eat them, won't you? I was a pleaser, plagued by the classic middle child complex, with the exception of fierce bickering and the occasional smackdown match with my sisters. Dissent tended to make me nervous. Maybe my love of chitlins all began with my feeling sorry for my mother. In terms of labor and attention, cooking proper chitlins is as involved as cooking paella or fufu or risotto milanese. Cleaning them took hours. So I'd keep my mother company while she rinsed the tangles of pig intestines in the basement sink. And I'd sit with her in the kitchen once they'd simmered down to something that needed watching. By that time, the house was filled with their sharp scent. Despite the addition of a potato to the pot to help absorb some of the odor, the smell was pervasive, vinegary, and slightly farmy. When one of my sisters would storm in holding her nose, proclaiming her disgust, I'd puff out my bony chest and call her stupid. I'd stay up late with my mother and we'd eat the chitlins off of small saucers as a bedtime snack. For all their potent smell, the flavor was calm and subtle. They had a distinct taste. They didn't remind me of anything. Their texture was pleasing, tender but not soft. My mother's were never greasy, though I marveled at how the leftovers emerged from the fridge, congealed in a murky gelatin. My mother would warm up a few in a frying pan and we'd douse them with hot sauce and put some cornbread on the side. They never failed to build a craving after that first bite. Precious, strange, and furtive food. I longed for them, even as I consumed them. I am a first-generation Northerner. My mother was reared in a middle-class family in El Dorado, a boomtown in southern Arkansas. My father in a coal mining camp in Alabama. The two met and fell in love in the late 1950s while students at Talladega, a historically black college in Alabama, married and then moved to Chicago. My sisters and I came of age in Hyde Park. My dearest friend was Jewish and white. We shared Sassoon jeans, Jolly Ranchers, Judy Blume books, and plenty of secrets. My mother grew to love Karen, but in the first days of our acquaintance, her anxieties about our closeness showed itself. She had lots of questions about how I was treated by the Levins. Were they kind? Had they made me eat the matzo ball soup? Did Karen have other black friends? Gradually it emerged. She was trying to prepare me for the prospect of rejection, once recalling to me how little white girls in El Dorado customarily grew out of their friendships. Friendships with little black girls. At the time, my only response was confused irritation. Karen was my best friend. As my sisters and I reached adolescence, my parents became more visibly concerned about our assimilated ways. While the Jackson 5's ABC had been our very first album, and we still crowded around the television to watch Soul Train, we also knew all the words to Bohemian Rhapsody. And at 17, I fell for a boy with blonde hair and blue eyes. He also fell for me. On more than one occasion, my sisters and I were summoned to a dialogue that began with my father's question, "Do you all know you're black?" As adults, my sisters and I laugh about it now. My parents do too. But their uneasiness was real and deadly serious, and I sensed it for years. Maybe I ate chitlins to please Mama and Daddy. My grandfathers died before I was born, my grandmothers when I was quite young. I have missed their embraces, their indulgence, and seeing my face in theirs. I have especially missed their stories. The down south tales my parents passed on to me and my sisters were rather limited. We hear about my Uncle Booker T setting the mean goat after my father, or how my mother's father was a high school principal and an avid fisherman, and how my mother's mother taught piano and Latin. What we didn't hear were the bloody details, the chronicles of Jim Crow. My parents gave us their South as best they could, in their politessen, and their hymns and verses, in their ways with words. They gave us what they hoped would be nourishing, a sip of pot liquor for our growing bodies, and black-eyed peas for good luck at New Year's dinner. I'll stop there.
This is the Oprah moment. So underneath your chairs. Oh. Crenshaw in the building? All right, traffic. So let's make a little bit more room for the folks who are arriving still. There's plenty of space. There's still a solid 6 feet up here. We can fill in. Someone can be under that table, under the counter. We got space, all right? So underneath your chair, hold up. Underneath your chair are recipes from my grandmother-in-law, who recently passed away around age 97. And these are some recipes, all right? So what we're gonna do is we are going to build something tonight together. Audrey and I are gonna help, and we are all gonna participate. So just make sure that if you don't actually have a recipe on you, that you're close enough to somebody with a recipe who is gonna be a kind, generous person and share with you, all right? So I see my cluster in the back. I wanna make sure that they are included with these recipes in particular, all right? Come on in. All right, so let's go ahead and get it going, all right?
Okay, so everybody has a recipe nearby. Okay. All right, so.
If you hear Audrey once, clap your hand. If you hear Audrey 2 times, then keep clapping.
Okay, so I have a few questions that I'd like you to think about as you inspect your recipe. And just think about these. So we're using our imaginations with this. So think about what time of day it would be when you prepare this recipe. That's one question. Okay. And another question. Do you cook in silence as you cook this recipe? Is there anyone around as you cook? Are you exact in your measurements when you make this recipe? Do you use your hands? Do you clean the kitchen as you go? What does it smell like while you're cooking? Are you tempted to taste it? Do you taste it?
Okay, so now you have made your dish on your recipe. So now let's think about the table where this is being consumed. How many chairs are at the table? Are there people in all of the chairs? Are there any children at the table? Are the children at a separate table? Do you wish you were sitting at that separate table with the children? What is this particular dish served on? Is it a platter? Is it a bowl? A mug, a pitcher? Paper plate? fine porcelain china, dishware that came from the store after saving up coupons. What's the light like in this room? Is it candles? Is it a chandelier? Is it an oil lamp, kerosene, or the windows open? What's the temperature in this room? Is it central air, ceiling fan, sweltering radiators? Are people excited for this meal? Are they eating out of obligation? Do people thank the cook? Does the cook prepare this dish willingly? As you taste the first bites or drinks of your recipe, are you present in the room? Are you transported somewhere in your past? Are you given a vision of the future? Everyone take a deep breath. And out. 2 more, in. And out. And last one, in. And out. Okay. So we just created a space. We just took a dish that we may have never seen or heard from a woman that we probably never met, and we just brought life into it. So what I would challenge and encourage and have us promise is within the next 24 hours, we will do something with this space that we just created. Whether you jot it down on the back of a Post-it note, or you just spend a moment reflecting the next time that you bite into a dish and thinking of the story behind that food. Thanks for building together. People still with us? All right, this is a song called Iron Cast Blues.
Where I'm from,
I gotta pause it because I love the beginning of that song. And a dear friend of mine, our son's namesake, James Parker, I asked him to leave a voice message on my phone, and he didn't know why. Can you read these words on the voicemail? And then it became this intro to the song.
Where I'm from, we kick cans for fun. Lucky nights over there, I like my steak well done.
Yep.
Frying my eggs hard, so we still go around. Crows catch corn kernels, cracking,
That's right. So this is a song I recorded with somebody I've never actually met, which is cool, but I know where he is. He has like a great music career and whatever. Or snatch your chicken head before the snake gets his. Granddaddy been gone and my uncle got sick. Berkeley County churn had to grow up quick. Swap school for mules and books for farm tools. No social studies class, no voting rights act. Not enough time to throw pine cones into the creek. Sulfur smell in your shirt, red clay in your jeans. I miss bologna with mayo, Kool-Aid, the kitchen table, board swing. My favorite days of the week. Shelling sweet peas with snapping butter beans. The slickest, quickest cousin sneaked the Ritz for our snack. Lumberyard stole the farm, grandma couldn't buy it back. I got the iron cast blues in 810 4, no fishes in the skillet, no more okra at the stove. Lose myself in thought as I stare at the coals. Better add some new wood before the Ritz gets cold. Tobacco still king, a slim deadly ruler. Unless you born here, evenings ain't no cooler. Nights like this, you get sliced with a knife. Wrong piccolo bar, wrong bartender's wife. One collect call, one chance to make bail. Pawn shop the next day, put my pride on sale. I slouch back home with some rain in my hat. Devil sent that damn water just to wet my last mat. No smokes, no jokes, just cockroaches. I hope that come the stroke of midnight, I'll hit the right note. Cinderella dreams for a ball to go. Now I pull myself together, dream of shrimp gumbo. I grab my yellow raincoat, my dad's banjo. I'll fix this shack up, make this castle a home. Tomorrow, no fishes in the skillet, no more okra at the stove. Lose myself in thought as I stare at the coals. Better add some new wood before the Ritz gets cold, 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 cold. I got the iron cast flues in 8, 10, and 4. No fishes in the skillet, no more okra at the. Lose myself in thought as I stare at the coals. Better add some new wood before the grits gets cold. Trump through the marsh, Spanish moss spotted swamp. Turn left at the post, hop over the gate and just wait for the light. Window flickers 3 times, that right there is the sign that my buddy's girl's gone and it'll be a good night. 12-string guitar, 12 million stars make 3 small chords, build 12 tall bars, notes leave deep rings like unfiltered tar. Play hard all night till the room starts to steam. So for janking it through, so I just use my sleeve. Callous hands clap, we salute the new day. Split the money from my hat and we go our separate ways. I'll hit the rails someday, leave the sunset town, get some work up north till the snow falls down. Pack my rucksack up, hitch back down south, make a jug of sweet tea till the moon comes out, and howl and prowl and cry and shout and pray. Find a couple straw bales, lay me down to stay. Sleep deep, rest in peace. Bye and bye, I'll be back on my feet. All right, welcome to the space one more time, Audrey Petty.
Okay, this is something different and something much newer. So I've been writing some essays and thinking about just the ways that my life it can be divided by many things, kind of before and afters. But one thing I've realized recently is that music has always been a through strand for many different reasons and many different ways. So I started writing some really short pieces that came out of that recognition. So this is an excerpt. Dig, if you will, the picture. At choir camp that year, on Saturday night, the older boys took turns being Prince. It was the fall after Purple Rain, and I'd seen the movie 3 times. I knew the album by heart. I also wanted to be Apollonia. I wanted to be Wendy and Lisa. I didn't want anyone to look at me. Jason Bivens, round and brown and square as could be, was on the mic for part 2 of the talent show. He was an alto too by then, with new pimples across his forehead. He'd be a tenor by Christmas and a baritone by 15. Jason was my neighbor and classmates with my little sister. I walked home from school with them, my sister talking both of our heads off. We first met Jason when we moved to the neighborhood, back when he was a soprano 1 in pop bottle glasses. His grandmother had invited my parents to the gala concert, and my mother came back cooing about Jason's voice and his poise. The choir had sung Mozart, Bach, Kodai, Gershwin, folk songs, and spirituals. The concert reminded my mother of home in El Dorado, Arkansas, and the choir her mother led there. I'd auditioned for the Chicago Children's Choir a few months later, singing My Country 'Tis of Thee, being pegged as an alto 1 and admitted to the fold. It was hard to believe Jason was the star of the treble chorus. He'd always been so shy on our walks home from Shoesmith, but he seemed taller than usual at our bi-weekly rehearsals in Woolman Hall. He was cherubic poster boy, the choir founder's pet. Knowing him from grammar school made me certain that none of this came easy to Jason. Jason was a stone nerd like me. Jason was always trying. The Saturday night talent show started right after supper in the chow hall. Must have been 200 of us at that camp. We'd leave after school on Friday in yellow school buses, 2-hour drive from the city into the woods of southern Michigan, Tower Hill, A-frame cabins. We'd share the campgrounds with church groups from who knew where. They were always all white, and we weren't one thing or another. Together we were everything, and we knew we were special that way. We were something like examples of what kids could be together. We were rowdy and raucous behind closed doors, But we watched our P's and Q's in front of strangers, watched our manners, cleared our plates, said thank you to the lunch line ladies, kept our voices inside voices until supper's end. Afterwards, a song, with Marty directing us, Sur ex e poster bonus, a cappella, concert-worthy. The white people from who knew where would straighten and stare at us differently. A lunch line lady would find a spot to sit down at one of our tables. We'd watch everyone turn impressed. They'd applaud us into an encore. Marty would nod her gratitude for their gratitude. I Want Jesus to Walk With Me would be the song to bring down the house. Hours later, we put on a show for one another in a giant rec room at the center of Tower Hill. The younger kids had their chance to start things off, a dance routine to the theme song from Flashdance, featuring Liz Holstein, Cynthia Cho, and the Youngblood twins. Magic tricks by a new boy from lab school. Knock-knock jokes from two sopranos I didn't know yet. Part 2 were the teenagers and the Purple Rain tribute. Jason kicked things off with When Doves Cry, backed up by Prince on the speakers. Jason, wearing dark clothes and a bright purple fedora, nodded his head as the guitar and synthesizer and drum machine crackled in the air. He couldn't find a lace veil to wear in time for the performance, but he knew how to make a prop serve him. He cocked the rim of the fedora so that you wanted to find his eyes. His voice wobbled, and he took the mic from the stand. Animals strike curious poses. They feel the heat between me and you. And then his voice stopped wobbling. I worried that Jason would move his hips, and then Jason moved his hips. But before I could cringe, the girls on either side of me screamed. Touch, if you will, my stomach. Feel how it trembles inside. I closed my eyes and felt the music. I felt myself on my feet dancing. I heard myself screaming. When the time came to match the drums with zigzag footwork, Jason matched it. He knew better than to push his falsetto when the song demanded it. It didn't matter. We took over, screaming with Prince to the bridge of the song that held us. By then, Jason's eyes were shut, and he was almost smiling. Don't cry, we sang as one. And then that song zipped itself up and left us there, ecstatic.
All right, so I'm going to do a song called Warm Skies. And when I was thinking about this song, I thought it could be really cool. It's funny, there's a little delay here. Blame it on the tech. So I thought it would be really cool to, when I originally wrote the song, I was picturing if you could do a poem, if you could do a song where every couplet could kind of be its own poem. And so I thought what I would do is that's gonna be a mic stand. No, that's not gonna work. Hold on. No, I'm joking. I'm just gonna do it like this. And so what I'm gonna do is each line, each couplet, I'm just gonna toss it out. All right. So it's like a large print Bible fortune cookie hybrid. All right. So I'm just gonna throw it out, and then when it's over, you just pick up one, and then you maybe have a little nice thing to share with somebody on Tinder. All right, that was a reference to earlier in the evening. All right, here we go. Warm Skies. A good friend of mine, Willie Calvin, produced this one. Yeah, Willie? Are you live streaming, Willie? He's not. Warm skies, shine, wings fly. I watch you sleep, waited for you to wake. Pine, strawberries, crisscross smiles on your face. Sunshine is rising in your eyes again. Best nights, moonlight, cicadas croak, shells broke, half dark, birch bark, sun. I love fields like sap. like moss, a bit warm, sort of soft, fragile, like it might break, but just wait, a snowflake is a raindrop after a hurricane, a mudslide, an exodus of water and sand grains in the midst of the storm. I'll shield you from harm. I'll hold you like clay, be the wheel that you spin on. 361 degrees, 366 days, 25 hours, my love here to stay. Go the extra mile or the extra inch, so the extra yard, so that extra stitch. Soon our young hearts can become that old quilt, an outline, a patchwork, a blueprint to be built. Each square, each dot, each row, each plot is a seed for a memory, for a lifetime, for a galaxy. Your hug is the sky, I'm all warm inside like, yup. All right, so the chorus, and then she says loving you, then we're just gonna go, I do. Loving you, baby, and I do. Just like that. I like that. Loving you, baby, and I do. All right. I mean, that's it. It's just a very simple chorus. Loving you, baby, and I do. I cannot predict what will come to pass. Crystal ball, tarot card, almanac. All this together, can't change that fact. All that I know is I'd rather show verbs to write, to hear, to say. I drive for miles and miles of days in a used car. Take 12 nights of trains and walk on my feet till my shoes turn to dust. The skin wears thin and all 10 toes crush. Crawl on my knees, pull myself through the fear till my lungs collapse and I run out of tears. Close my eyes, let birds that prey glide on the surface. It may seem hard to digest this, but life as we know is an illusion of flesh. All that is good and that is true will rise back inside. It's all warm skies. Loving you, baby, and I do. You can do it first too. Loving you, baby, and I do. I see you. That's all you're doing, right? Loving you, baby, and I do. Except it's a trumpet, so it'd be like. And I do. Watch you. This is another one where it's been like a little freestyle, but again, I'll just shout out. I see a license plate, 216-1994, Illinois. City stickers overdue. Catch up. All right.
Good stuff, sir. Usually in our author circles that we do around the city, we typically focus on memoir writing. But Roseland, Lisa's my co-teacher, I'm her co-teacher. We teach. And usually it's just memoir writing, but in Roseland we were moved, and Lisa and I like to be in the flow of things. So we like to be led, like we say, by some force, some spirit that leads us to do the work that we do. So in Roseland we said, you know what, we're gonna do, have a few authors do memoir poems, and not just a straight out flat narrative memoir. And Ivory Johnson, Out of the Darkness into the Light, he's one of them. And he calls this piece, Hearts Break Through. After years of pain, heartbreak, and loneliness, I started to lose faith. My family used to tell me I'd never add up to shit. I started to believe I would never have anybody, crying myself to sleep thinking nobody wants me. Then came along my angel, h.u.e. The moment I saw you, I knew from the smile to the hugs, I will be able to open up to you, not ashamed, telling you all the pain I've been through. You helped me become a man, never judged me, never talked down on me. You helped change me. Seeing you work made me look up to you. Playing and joking, I'll never get bored of you. I had to take responsibility and not let my past haunt me. Waking up early, going to work, changing me. I became a man I can say I'm proud of. I had to let all the bad stuff go. and become reborn, a new ivory. Just waking up to you felt safe, safer than I have ever been in my whole life. I pray I'll never lose you. The love we have feels so good. I never had this before, not even from my own mom. You have become my other half, my better half. You never gave up on me, so you know I'll never give up on you. Before you came in my life, I was lost in darkness, not being able to trust women. Now I feel cured from the hate that lived deep inside of me. The hole that lived in me has been filled with love. And it's all because of you, h.u.e, inspiring me to be a better me. Just remember, we will always be forever and ever, Ivory and h.u.e. And with our authors, what we also do is this I am poem that we put on the back of all of our books, all the publications. And it's basically a bio in poem form. And this is Ivory's. I'm from Chicago, from bears and bulls. I am from the dirt, broken hearts, drugs and killings. I am from the hundreds, people taking from their own people. I'm from the streets in 113th and Carpenter, from the land and Lake Michigan. I'm from nice cars and rims, from eating rice and chicken. I'm from Lakeshore Drive, hot sand on my feet. I'm from the South Side, where we never give in, and I always win. Ivory Johnson.
All right, I'm going to read one more piece from the chapbook. This is called Sunset Before. There are beasts across town wielding torches, covering their cowardice with hoods. Bloodshot eyes huddle in the September shadows, preparing to follow their fear down winding dirt roads, whooping like possums, pausing to piss on the azaleas at your gate before smashing in your door. A tornado of tobacco spit hatred unfurled. My love, I must leave here before sunset. Find a foothill to climb, make fox tracks sideways and backwards, disguise the scent these bloodhounds are bred to crave. Crouching in a ditch amidst deer droppings and bloated bullfrogs, I will hold my ground, protect this forgotten moat. Even as the moon reveals the briar traps I set and the southbound wind shifts leeward, I will steady my hand, reach for the pile of rocks stacked like the pancakes we shared on our secret anniversary 2 weeks ago, ready to hurl each stone towards their salivating jaws, cracking skulls like Saturday morning eggs. As my prayers ricochet off clapboard crosses and judgment looms close like thunder, this humble soldier will harness his munitions, hornet's nest landmines, magnolia pod grenades, semi-automatic acorn shells. I will strike deftly, and when my weaponry jams, throw fistfuls of lichen, shake down pollen, dive into a thicket, snatch a fallen rhododendron branch. I will stab, carve, and slice the white meat like Wednesday night supper, broken ribs cast aside. If this is our last time lying close, remember us not as two bodies, but as muscadine and honeysuckle, bittersweet fruit, preserved flowers. We will rise from this battlefield, bandage our roots, spread milky sap on our wounds, join stems in the blood orange dawn, and grow strong. Okay, so the final build that I had was this little thing that I was going to call, it was going to be called Phone a Poet, aka Call a Creative, aka Buzz a Builder. And so the idea, aka, so the idea was that we have two magic talker things. And one was going to be in the audience, and one was going to be up here on the stage with the co-readers. And basically it'd be a chance for us to engage back and forth for a little while in some dialogue. So I definitely still want to do it. Would you?
I'll try to summon whatever.
Yeah, okay, great. And Lisa as well?
Yeah, come on, Lisa.
Awesome, great, lovely. Audrey Petty up in this piece again. Yeah, that's what we do. Work it out. All right, perfect. So while they are coming, these are just very basic controls. $1.99 at Unique Thrift. You get it on Mondays half off. And we actually use these as a motivation for potty training for our twins. They weren't involved in the potty training directly, but it was an incentive. We said you get one of these. We never told them what it was called, and they just made it up. Sometimes it's a time travel stick. Sometimes it's, they never call it a remote. It is everything else, which is super exciting to me. It is everything other than a remote control, because they don't know that we have it. Okay, so basically anybody who wants, I wasn't giving that to you because you had to start. It was just, we don't actually have to hold one, so I'll just have two of them. No, I want to have a little bit of control. Okay, so we will keep one. All right, I'm going to come over here. All right, so who would like to, yes, see, you already know how to do it, Jamie.
I selected.
Yeah, you can select and, okay, turn it up. Okay, thank you. Rewind. Okay, so who would like to start? And this is something, it's exactly what it's called, fun, creative, buzz a builder, or page a poet. Beeper, badass. All right, would somebody seriously love to start?
I would like to ask the why. Why do you write, and why do you two do what you do?
All right, and could you repeat the question back on the mic for folks who are watching out there?
Kashif said he would like to ask the why. Why do you write, and why do we do what we do?
I write because it is an urge. It is a thing that I feel like I have to do. I think when I stand back and think about it, I write to pay attention. It's a way to sort of press myself to pay better attention to what's around me, to the things I observe, to the people I encounter. It's really a way to, I like who I am when I'm a writer. Not to say that I have my issues, but I like that way of being in the world, that kind of pressure to slow down and to listen maybe more closely than I would otherwise. So I think as much as it's the getting it down, it's also just a way of being that I really value.
I feel that the reason I do the work, we do the work we do, as educators, as writers, as advocates, is to, first and foremost, to complicate the narrative and to honor true experts, and to help create a tangible opportunity for young people to speak their truth and to distill reality as they see it, as they know it, as they need it. And I think that in the author circle, we create, it's transformational work. It's supernatural work in that we co-create a space of radical trust and a place of sanctuary and stimulation. And it is, true. Our authors are not physically present right now, but their words and legacies are. And I think that the work comes from a source of passionate purpose and passionate belief that the young men that we build with and work with now in circles, right now we're working with young men. That doesn't mean as we continue to grow, we will also be working with young women. The young men that we co-create with are verbs. They are agents of change. They are exactly who the world needs, who we need, who I need, who Ray needs, who you need. And we need to create clear opportunities for Gary, for Emmanuel, for Ivory, for Kashif, also a writer and teacher who joins in Circle, to shape the world. It is not only healing and empowering for each author, we are in need as society. They lift us, they inspire us, they complicate the narrative for us. And I can't imagine doing anything else.
Thank you.
Everything Lisa said. I'm Ray, and I am a recovering social worker. I went to this place over on 60th, some weird building that they really love.
Student loan.
I got lucky my last two. I got lucky.
You got lucky?
Yeah,
What does that mean?
we'll talk about that later. So they didn't hit me as hard as you did.
Oh, okay. Shady.
So I spent all these years in institutional world, CPS, major agencies across the city. I worked, I've owned a couple of small businesses, and so when my twin boys, my 19-year-old twin boys went off to college and they're sophomores downstate, I said, well, what am I going to do with my life? I definitely don't want to do this social work stuff anymore. So there was an ad on Facebook.
What?
And it was this weird position, teaching writing or something. I'm like, well, I'm not a formal, I've published and did some things, but, teaching, I don't know if I can teach writing, But then I thought about it, I said, and as we're in our author circle, this social works, SEL stuff comes to mind, right? We're really, we're really creating a sanctuary, but it's a very therapeutic environment.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with trauma, right? And you're dealing with the lives of some of these young folk out here. Oftentimes it's one-dimensional. We see the news stories, we see this. So when Lisa talks about complicating the narrative, we're really sort of like opening who they are and their identities, and they're discovering that there's more to them than newsprints or video. The lives are very complicated as black men, young black men in the city of Chicago, and all of that good stuff that goes with that. So that's why I do what I do. Back to the Facebook ad, Lisa posted this piece. We met, talked, we clicked, found out she's in the flow. Our executive director, Deb Gittler, is in the flow. Angela, who's over in the corner, she's in the flow.
Yeah.
And I just feel to be a part of a great team, and somehow I'm using social work again.
Yeah.
But it's not traditional.
Right.
That's it.
Where is it? Where is it at? Who wants it? Who wants it? Who wants it? Oh.
I've got it. I want to hear more about the writers. Like you're sharing their work. Do they ever read it themselves?
Yes. Yes. I know. Like Lord. Yes. Yes. The works that Ray read on behalf of authors today come from our Roseland Author Circle. We currently have 3 author circles, one in County Division 10, one in Roseland, and one in K-Town and North Lawndale. And in our 5-month journey together as writers and builders, every day authors are sharing work. And in fact, that's one of the most important aspects of the work that we do. In fact, I just shared with Salim when Ivory, whose last poem Ray shared, is ill, is in Indiana, wasn't able to make it, and he texted how sorry he was, how he wanted to be here, and then he sent another text, please can I get feedback on my work from the people there? I named that to say feedback, and that cycle of feedback and sharing work and asking, how does this connect with you as a human being? How does this connect with you as a writer? Is critical to the work that we do. And in fact, we were so excited and are still excited for what we're building as we continue to create opportunities for authors to collaborate with Salim and others. But in fact, in our author circles, we're reading text and literature from various authors from different circles in our world, as well as authors through space and time. Every day we read, every day we draft. Our rule, our value is singular and is be brave. Excellent writers are honest. And we're honest internally and we're honest externally as best we can. We're always, lurching towards integrity of full honesty. We read, we write, we share, and we give feedback. And then formal sort of public sharing like this is a rare thing. We normally do it just at the end of our author circle. So Roseland Authors Monday evening, we'll be doing a formal public sharing. And there are 22 young men from Roseland, 18 to 24-year-old young men, who are publishing their first books.
Wait, where is that happening and when?
That is happening downtown at a Catalyst Ranch at 656 West Randolph at 7 p.m. Monday night. And Gary will be there, Emmanuel will be there, Ivory will be there. I want to give us a piece, just a moment about Emmanuel, the second piece that Ray read. One of the most extraordinary acts of bravery was watching Emmanuel in his journey as an author. The incident that he describes occurred so recently. You still have the news on your flipping iPhone or whatever. This is a live trauma that just occurred. Ray and I were having circle the morning after this event. And we still remember Emmanuel's bravery and his absolute crisis and his wailing. I'm in a dark place. I'm in a dark place. And he just kept talking about how it's untenable, the amount of loss. This is just a bit of the loss that he had just experienced. And as an author circle, we didn't read or write that day. We didn't give feedback that day. We held space with Emmanuel. And Emmanuel through the week said he really wasn't going to write. But then the movement came, the flow, and Emmanuel birthed this extraordinarily honest piece. So Monday night, Emmanuel will be sharing that. Emmanuel was thrilled to be here. We fear that he and his aunts are still driving around trying to find it. It was hard to find, honestly. But anyway, that's a long answer, right?
Everything Lisa said. Everything Lisa said. And the guys are, I mean, it's a process, right? You know, you go to this class of 5 months, 6 months, whoever you partner with, and immediately we're talking about 18 to 25-year-old men, right? Some with children who've had lots of experience in life. I think sometimes us outsiders take that experience for granted. Very powerful experience these guys have went through or been through and are going through.
Yes.
Many of them don't want to write. I don't want to write.
Yes.
Well, I have to be here. You know, why do I want to do this?
Right.
And then after sort of Lisa and the magic, and it happens in class, and we're working, then eventually a product blossoms, a writing emerges, and it's a very powerful process. So yeah, that's what happens in class.
Can I get one more?
I'm curious about, as you all do the things that you do, as you write, Audrey, and as you all facilitate these connections and help these young men, what are the different feelings and things and practices that you say yes to that let you do this work? Or maybe what you say no to in your life that allow you to do the things that you do?
Can I actually jump in on that?
Yes.
I gotta repeat the question back. That's why I was listening. I don't always sleep in class. The question basically was, what are the things that you say yes to, and what are the things that you say no to, and why? Okay, so I think about that a little bit for me. I resonate with what Lisa said a second ago about bravery in writing. I know that when all is not well in my life is when the pen and the keyboard is untouched, and I know it means I'm not dealing with something, hiding, not making it a priority, because the urge is always there. It's just a matter of how courageous I am to answer it, because that's the thing, when you start typing, the pen hits the page, like, you think you know what you're going to do, but you don't really, your mind doesn't really. And I feel like that has come out through so many of the pieces in the chat book, where I would be like, oh, this is going to be a very straightforward love poem, and then it's like, wait, how did this turn into a piece about like the Ku Klux Klan, like chasing somebody through the woods and like bullfrogs and stabbing people with branches, and I'm so really sorry, there were so many children in the room. Real life. And so I think that just kind of, again, that courage, because it's amazing how much you can fight it and be like, no, it's not that piece. Temper that down. This is the nice piece. And then it's just like, you're like, okay, fine. So I definitely feel like that is something that I'm still sort of like trying to be okay with, is just that ultimately the piece is there. If I just get out of the way, it's going to write itself. But it's just so hard to just trust that process sometimes. but when it does, like this night, just like watching this all come together and sort of having an idea of, you know, what it could be, but it's really just been the last 2 weeks that it's all come together, right? Because we met 2 weeks ago, and so it's also kind of one of those things where it's like, again, you step aside and let the process work, and yeah, so that's what I'd say for me.
Yes. What do you say yes or no to it enable you to
Let's go with the no's.
Okay.
Because the Chicago Project is in, ConTextos existed 7-8 years before in El Salvador. You know, if you know about El Salvador, you know how similar the crime is to Chicago. Right. Different world. So this is the first year we're in Chicago. And doing this work, I've learned that we become very protective of our authors, of their writings, of their works. So it's a little uncomfortable for me to share their work in the public space without them being here. That makes me feel a little uncomfortable, and I'm gonna race home and make some texts, make some calls. You
No, I
okay
already
with
said
this?
it's good.
He said okay.
Yeah, and he's live.
Okay, oh, that's fine. And so protect. And who do we want to share and work with in this work, right? What organizations do we want to partner with to do this work, right? So a lot of no's emerge from that. Who do we say yes to? I think at this point, as we do this, I've done this career shift, but I'm sort of back full circle to therapy in a sense, right? And for me, and I think Lisa may agree that we've been meeting with different partners in the city. We may be bringing some pieces to CPS. We may be doing some stuff on the west side. We may be doing a lot of things in the city, but we only want to say yes to people who understand and who are as protective of the lives of our authors, wherever we start a new circle, right? Because what we're doing in these circles is basically helping these young guys and eventually young women realize that you are not your past. But in order to realize you're not your past, you have to deal with it and then set it aside. But something that you're not dealing with, you can never conquer, right? And so we're very protective. So we say a lot of, we've been saying no a lot lately in our group meetings. You know, we have these Tuesday meetings, right, Angela, these Tuesday meetings? So we've been saying no a lot. And we're trying to figure out the complexity of yes. Because we value the lives and the voices of the young people that we work with. I hope that answers.
It's a humbling question to try to answer, because I don't feel like I often don't strike the balance, and I'm a teacher and I love teaching, and I think there's always that tension of setting aside some energy from my own work, and I don't do it on the regular, not right now. But I think what's been valuable is to say yes to a teaching that nourishes me, and say yes to a teaching that makes me feel more connected and more whole. And I really trust that it all connects up. I think I also say yes to really good company. And the company of you all tonight being a prime example. I say yes to deadlines. That really helps a lot, to have someone who wants something from me by a certain date. That has mattered more and more to me as I've gotten older and my life has gotten more full and complicated. So I think those are things that I know, and I still strive to take more time, for the quiet, to hold on to that, to find those spaces.
No,
No, I'll do very short. I'll say I'm still learning to say no. I really feel what you're saying there, and working on boundaries. No. And so I'm learning to say yes and yes or yes, but maybe yes, not now. I'm learning to say not now.
Say no, but
I'm learning.
All right, a round of applause for our final bullet of the night. All right. give a huge thanks to the Build family, chilling in the back, shutting it down. Are beverages still available, or do we have last call? Last call for. I didn't say it. So definitely there's an opportunity for more age-appropriate beverages. If you are interested in purchasing the book, again, it is by the cash register. If you want to do a roundup option, as I said earlier, by rounding your purchase up to $20, it sends a copy of the book to one of the writers' circles. If we run out of copies, that's awesome, and then you can just whatever. I'll get more to you. So definitely be as liberal as you like with your purchasing this evening. And also there are ConTextos has information over Ms. Rudolph in the corner. And there are some incredible works behind me and stage right as well. So I definitely want to plug the other authors who are here. I mean, I'm not literally gonna start plugging people. Although I did want to come to story time today to see the joys of being a little black boy, but our 3-year-old twins could not get their lives together. At all. So yeah, so instead of being here for story time, we were just taking temperatures and snotting and stuff. So anyway, I digress. But definitely come through Bill as often as you can, Mondays through Saturdays. Come through.
I just wanted to say
You wanted to say something?
one thing,
Yeah, please.
I know it's been mentioned a couple of times tonight, and some of them have been read out loud. We have I am poems on postcards. People feel free to come by and take some with you, just to have a little bit from our other author circles.
So just so everyone can hear that, there are postcards with the I am poems. Feel free to take some of those and spread the words freely. All right, anybody have any questions, final shout outs, final hollers before we end the service?
Thank you.
Got one?
I was gonna say peace to Celine.
Oh, I'm happy as a random bonus. I have some stamps. If you happen to purchase a book and do the roundup, you will get a custom stamp on the inside of your cover. Yeah, Colette, you like stamps? Yes. All right. The 3rd grade. All right. Good stuff. So definitely, thank you so much for coming out. Enjoy the rest of your night.